The billionaire Benjamin's canary in the backyard opened her own cage and flew away. With a fortune in hand and a baby bump, I landed safely at a foreign airport. I had hoped to raise 2 kids abroad, living a decent life on my own terms. What I didn't expect was that these 2 troublemakers would somehow lure their biological father across mountains and oceans. When I tried to dodge his questions, Benjamin slammed the paternity test in my face. Still trying to feed me crap? Who do you think you're fooling? Chapter 1. The year I started working. I joined the company as a fresh-faced secretary and met Benjamin, who had just taken office as the new chairman. On my interview day, he had a strange whim and decided to personally interview new hires. By some twist of fate, we struck a deal that day. I became his kept woman tucked away in the backyard. I was desperately broke when I signed the contract. I only had 45 yuan left in my pocket. Even the cheapest motel cost 50 a night, so I moved into his backyard and stayed for 4 whole years. We practically spent those 4 years burning the midnight oil. His stamina was so overwhelming it once scared me. I kept wondering, before this ox drops dead from exhaustion, would my field be ruined first? Over 4 years of nightly battles, we developed an unmatched rhythm and understanding. We got so in sync that we forgot the roles we were supposed to play. He, the patron, and I, the bird in the cage. We ignored the terms of our original agreement. Sometimes, he would vent to me through gritted teeth about some scheming, backstabbing shareholder trying to trip him up at work. Other times, I'd mess with him, giving him little tests just to be petty. He didn't like obedient little bunny types, nor was he fond of cunning, rebellious vixens. I happened to fall somewhere in between and ticked every box on his list. That low-key, hidden lifestyle lasted 4 years, until I found out I was pregnant. That was when I suddenly remembered what was in the original contract. My period had always been right on schedule, but this time, it was noticeably late. I had a gut feeling while out shopping. I bought a pregnancy test and secretly took it in the bathroom. 2 lines. I hit the jackpot. I carefully wrapped the test stick in tissue and threw it in the trash. Before I even pulled my pants back up, I'd already made a decision. I needed to start planning my escape. Our contract had clearly stated, if a pregnancy occurs, the child must be terminated. But this tiny life had come to me as if guided by fate. I couldn't bring myself to let it go. My parents passed away early. I had longed for a family bond, someone related to me by blood. My phone rang. On the screen, Ben, half-dressed. I grabbed the phone with one hand and hit answer. Hello? A weary voice came through. I'm flying abroad for a week. Plane leaves this afternoon. I won't be home tonight. I knew why he sounded frustrated. That morning, I had sent him a photo, me wearing a new battle outfit. A low-cut, backless silk nightgown. It was a birthday gift from him that I had planned to put into action that very evening. What about your clothes and toiletries? Not coming back to get them? I've got spares for business trips at the office. I'll make do. I kept my tone calm. Take care then. Travel safe. Just before the call ended, I called out his name without thinking. Benjamin. Yeah. What is it? Nothing. Just had a dream. What kind of dream? I dreamed of a baby. There was a brief silence before his emotionless voice replied. Don't overthink things. After the call ended, I gripped my phone tightly and looked at my reflection in the mirror. Pretty face. Nice figure. Smooth, delicate skin. Long black hair silky as satin. Just like a canary. Yeah, that's all I was. Just part of a contract. I wasn't some Mrs. Liu from a powerful family. A kept woman had no business daydreaming about happily ever afters. I dropped all illusions. While he was abroad, I began putting my escape plan into motion. Over the years, I'd quietly saved nearly 8 figures in my bank account, enough to live comfortably somewhere far away. Just in case, I sold off the designer handbags, limited edition jewelry, and other luxury gifts he had given me. I sent them in batches to resale shops. In just 3 days, my account balance had grown by more than half. It now exceeded 8 figures. Everything was ready. Time to execute the getaway. First, I gave the maids in the villa a few days off, to make it look like I wasn't planning anything. I even told the cook to buy my favorite clams before coming in the next day. Then, on a sunny afternoon, I wheeled out a small suitcase with only a few clothes and walked out of the villa I had lived in for 4 years. Before I left, I wrote a letter and, on impulse, Toss that seductive nightgown into a street trash can. I'm not sure why. I just did. Standing at the gates, I looked back one last time at that silver gray cage. A single tear slid down my cheek. Goodbye, Ben. Chapter 2. By late October, the northeastern nights had already turned biting cold. When I stepped out of the arrivals hall, Alicia was already there, waiting patiently. The moment she saw me dragging my suitcase out, she waved excitedly from a distance. You spoiled brat. You've ghosted me for years. Where the hell have you been? She moved in for her usual bear hug, but I stopped her by pressing a finger to her forehead. Careful, I'm carrying precious cargo. Her eyes dropped to my still flat stomach, then lit up with delight. No way. Are you pregnant? When did you get married? Who's the baby daddy? I waved dismissively. Just a borrowed seed. From now on, you're the kid's other parent. Alicia had been my best friend in college, a true northern tough girl, loud and proud. After I got involved with Benjamin, I cut ties with everyone, for secrecy and for pride. My parents had long passed away, and I had lost touch with the rest of my relatives. Returning to my hometown had no meaning and too high a risk of Benjamin tracking me down. So I chose the complete opposite direction of the south, straight to the northeast. A true feint to the east while striking west. Besides, the northeast had a low cost of living, a slow pace of life, and cooler summers. It was the perfect place for a quiet life raising children in seclusion. So I packed my bags and my unborn child and headed to the black soil lands of the north, determined to put down roots and live a peaceful life for the rest of my days. Chapter 3. August of the following year. The delivery room doors flung open. Twins. The older one was a boy, the younger, a girl. A buy one, get one free situation that didn't match Benjamin's usual style at all. Alicia stared at the two wrinkly little creatures in the crib, their scrunched up faces all bunched together. Damn, these two look rough, fresh out of a C-section. I gave her a weak side eye. If you're gonna stay, shut it. If not, get lost. She casually reached over and turned off my anesthesia drip. Enjoy the pain for the rest of the afternoon. Aside from calling in the nurse to change my dressings, she sat by the crib, staring blankly at the twins. I still can't believe you're a mom now, of two. Feels like a dream. I stared up at the pristine white ceiling. Trust me, I didn't see this coming either. Helen, have you picked their names yet? The boy's Luis, the girl's Luciana. As I said it, Benjamin's face popped uninvited into my mind. I know what I did was wrong, contract-wise. Morally, I'm in the wrong, but I'm naming the kids after you. So, don't blame me. Silently, I whispered an apology to him in my heart. Looking at the peacefully sleeping twins in the crib, tears welled in my eyes. I had a family now. I wasn't alone in this world anymore. The year Luis and Luciana started kindergarten, I saw Benjamin again on the financial news channel. His company had just signed a partnership deal with a major pharmaceutical company in the US. At the signing ceremony, he was dressed in a flawless suit, his tie perfectly straight. Under the glare of countless camera flashes, he calmly fielded reporters' questions. Alicia sat cross-legged on the couch, happily munching on a crayfish, her lips glistening with sauce. She pointed at Benjamin on the screen. Hey Helen, don't you think Luis and Luciana kinda look like this guy? My eye twitched violently. Really? Didn't notice. Alicia dropped the subject and went back to wrestling with her crayfish. To her, crustaceans were way more interesting than Benjamin. The TV interview wrapped up. Benjamin gave the reporters a polite wave. Suddenly, my chest tightened. I felt like all the blood had drained from my heart, only to be refilled with shock and disbelief. On his wrist, just below a luxury Vacheron Constantine watch I had helped him pick out, was a cheap beaded bracelet, the kind you find at roadside stalls. The contrast was jarring, cheap trinket versus high-end timepiece. That bracelet, I made it myself. During our second year together, a handmade good luck charm. When I gave it to him, he barely glanced at it before tossing the box into a drawer with an indifferent expression. But now it was on his wrist. Right there, front and center, at a major public event. Didn't he once say it looked childish, like something out of a kid's dress-up game? Then what the hell is this? Liar. Chapter 4. When the twins turned 5. I opened a small handmade cupcake shop near their kindergarten. I didn't need the money, but I needed something to keep myself busy. Because at some point, my phone's browser started flooding me with financial news, and the name Benjamin was popping up more and more. Big data is such a damn snitch. To stop myself from spiraling, I had to find something to occupy my mind. The bakery also kind of fulfilled the kids' dream of endless cake, after all. I couldn't exactly open a Willy Wonka-style chocolate factory, and having the store near their school made pick-up and drop-off easier. After school, Luciana came running toward me, dragging Luis along. "Mommy! Mommy!" Luciana took after me, loud, bubbly, a little dramatic. Luis was the exact opposite, like a carbon copy of his father. Calm to a fault, sharp-tongued when you least expect it. The only ones who could break through that icy exterior were his sister and me. His mother. Not even his godmother Alicia could pull it off. Luciana threw herself into my arms. "Mommy, I missed you so much." I hugged her back and took the paper she handed me. "What's this?" Luis stood calmly behind her and explained. "Kindergarten graduation trip permission form. The teacher asked us to bring it home for our parents." Back in the shop, Luciana gobbled down a cupcake like a little storm, even reaching out to steal the strawberry tip off her brother's cake. Luis looked at her like she was a plague, then sighed and pushed his own cupcake, now missing its strawberry tip, toward her. "Eat till you explode." I sat next to them, holding the permission slip and reading it carefully. A 4-day, 3-night city summer camp. Voluntary participation. Luis and Luciana had never spent a single night away from me before. Letting them go for 4 nights straight? Honestly, I was a little nervous. That night, I asked them, "Do you want to go to the summer camp?" Luciana piped up first. "I do, Mommy, but I'm a little scared." Luis, from the upper bunk, poked his little head down. "I'll go with you." Luciana's eyes curved into little crescent moons. "If my big brother comes, I won't be scared." And just like that, the decision was made, with only the mother left feeling abandoned. The moment the kids boarded the school bus, I closed the bakery. The shop shut down for 4 days, not because of lack of business, but because the owner was too anxious to work. I sat at home, obsessively refreshing the kindergarten group chat, barely touching food. Alicia stuffed a slice of pizza into my mouth. I chewed, swallowed, and burped like a malfunctioning robot. "You know," she said, "what if those two grow up and get married one day? What the hell are you gonna do then?" I pulled myself out of the phone haze. "What did you say?" I didn't catch that. She shoved another pizza crust into my mouth. "Nothing. Eat up." Chapter 5. The agonizing 4 days finally ended. I drove to the kindergarten early to pick up the kids. On the phone, Alicia sighed. "Babe, no sane person shows up 4 hours early to get their kids." I argued. "Am I burning your gas?" The sky wasn't cooperating, it had started to drizzle. When the school bus appeared in the distance, I was already waiting on the roadside with an umbrella. Once the twins were loaded into the car, I turned back to them. "Did you miss Mommy?" Luciana leaned in and gave me a big kiss on the cheek. "Mommy, I missed you, Sue. Sue much." The little guy in the leather jacket next to her didn't say anything, just nodded firmly. In retaliation, I ruffled his hair into a bird's nest. On the drive home, Luciana chattered nonstop in the back seat, telling me all about the fun they had at camp. I listened quietly while driving, responding here and there. "Oh right, Mommy, we met this really nice uncle. He was so good to me and Luis, and he even gave us gifts." As she spoke, she pulled on her shirt to show me a pin clipped to her chest, a red gemstone Cartier brooch. Suppressing my unease, I gently pushed her head back. "Mommy's driving. Sit properly." Back at home, Luis obediently pulled a matching brooch from his pocket. Same brand, same craftsmanship, but while Luciana's red one was elegant and ornate, Luis's blue one had a bolder, more rugged style. Still, clearly the same collection. What kind of generous uncle gives 2 kids he's never met gifts worth tens of thousands? "Didn't Mommy teach you not to accept things from strangers?" "But Mommy," Luciana said, "that uncle said he knows you." Luis nodded. "He said you two used to be really, really good friends." Outside the window, a bolt of lightning lit up the rain-drenched sky, illuminating a space in my heart that had long gone dark. A name flashed through my mind. Benjamin? No way. That's too much of a coincidence. It's like something out of a bad romance novel. So cliché. Do you know what that uncle's name was? Luciana raised her hand. He said his last name is Lou. Luis added, Benjamin. God damn it. Of course it's that cliché. My gut clenched. I grabbed the clothes on the rack and started dressing in a rush. Put your clothes on. We're staying at your godmother's place tonight. If this really had blown open, Benjamin was probably already on his way. I had to leave immediately with the kids. I knew him too well. He would never let this go without confronting me face to face. God knows how those two little troublemakers managed to lure their biological father right to our door. As I looked at my kids putting on their jackets, I realized my hands were trembling uncontrollably. I couldn't let him take Luis and Luciana away from me. Chapter 6. I quickly gathered some daily essentials, grabbed a bag, and took the kids by the hand, ready to leave. But the moment I opened the door, there he was, Benjamin, standing right outside, dressed in a gray suit, looking worn and disheveled. He'd lost some weight, and his stubble was thick, like he hadn't shaved in days. His shoulders and hair were damp, clearly. He'd followed us through the rain without an umbrella. His face was so stormy, I thought it might actually start dripping water. If resentment had a physical force, I swear, I could shove a steel rod in his mouth and he'd grind it to dust with pure rage. Luciana clung to my leg, delighted. Oh, it's the uncle. No, my beautiful and innocent daughter, that's not an uncle. That's the devil. The very devil your mother has tried everything to run from. The moment his gaze fell on Luciana, that storm cloud vanished, replaced by a soft, indulgent look I had never seen from him before. Wow, that was a quick switch. Helen, he said, voice low and restrained. It's been a long time. Restrained? Please. He probably wants to strangle me right here on the spot. Luciana ran over and hugged his leg, looking up at him with wide, innocent eyes. Uncle, what are you doing here? He gently patted her head. Because your mommy and I are very, very good friends. Good friends. That phrase instantly brought back memories of the many, many nights we battled each other under dim lights. My face flushed on reflex. Then his eyes turned back to me. As good friends, aren't you going to invite me in for a seat? Invite you in? My ass. If I had the strength, I'd kick him flat and bolt with the kids right now. But by the time I snapped out of that thought, I had already stepped aside and let him in. What the hell is wrong with me? He sat down on the couch, frowning as he scanned the room. His expression grew darker with each passing second. You and the kids live in this tiny little shack? Anyone else here? Spoken like a true billionaire. In his world, even a 140 square meter, 3-bedroom apartment is just a tiny shack. I nodded awkwardly, then shook my head. Luciana got hyper as usual, bouncing around him and chattering nonstop. Luis brought over a glass of water and set it on the coffee table. Uncle, have some water. Benjamin's eyes couldn't keep up, glancing from Luciana to Luis, back and forth, like he was trying to memorize every inch of their faces. Honestly, if he could pop out his eyeballs and stick one on each kid, he would've. I got nervous he might actually snatch one of them up, so I sweet-talked and coaxed the twins into going to their room. Now it was just the two of us in the living room, and the tension instantly thickened. Even the air felt heavier. Finally, he broke the silence. People say daughters take after their dads and sons take after their moms. What kind of reverse genetics are you working with? I swallowed hard. They're not yours. Before I could finish, he pulled a folded paper from his jacket pocket, unfolded it slowly, and slapped it right in my face. Whatever I was about to say died in my throat. Helen, still trying to lie to me? Who do you think you're fooling? I picked up the paper and glanced at it, and nearly fainted on the spot. Of course, a paternity test. Chapter 7. With the evidence right in front of me, I had no choice but to admit. All right, they're yours. Both of them. He gave me a look like, finally, some sense. How did you find them? My company's team building event happened to be in the same park as their kindergarten outing. Do you know what it felt like to see a miniature version of myself walk past me? I asked cautiously. You mean Luis? No shit. I'm a man. If I looked like Luciana as a kid, something would have gone seriously wrong. I didn't dare say another word. It's not just the looks. He continued. Even his damn temper is a carbon copy of mine. How could I not be suspicious? So you took them for a paternity test? I wasn't sure at first, but then I asked their names. One's Luis, the other's Luciana. Their mom? Helen. At first, I thought it was just fate that tied me to these two kids. Turns out, it wasn't just fate, it was blood. He grabbed my shoulders, eyes blazing like he could devour me whole. Helen, how dare you? I looked for you for 7 years, do you have any idea? I had people tear your hometown apart, and all this time, you were hiding out in the Northeast with my kids? I tried to shake him off, but his hands clamped down like steel. Mr. Liu, you're hurting me. He stared at me, eyes burning. Come back with me. I struggled harder. Back? Back to what? So you can keep me hidden again? So I can be your kept woman in a gilded cage? Mr. Liu, we had a contract. It clearly said either party could terminate it at any time if circumstances changed. We're not tied to each other anymore. Our families aren't equal. Yours would never allow you to marry a nobody like me, especially not one you used to keep in secret. He was starting to get flustered now. Helen, don't you think you're being unfair? You kept me in the dark for years. I just found out 2 days ago that I have kids this old. How could you think that's okay? I missed their entire childhood. I don't even know what it was like. Have you ever considered how I feel? Tears streamed down my face. Uninvited. Benjamin, according to our agreement back then, if I hadn't left, those kids would never have been born. Mr. Liu, would you really have let an unwed woman, with no name, no title, give birth to the heirs of the Liu family? He froze. Then, slowly, he pulled me into his arms and gently patted my back. I'm sorry, Helen. I didn't know you were pregnant. I didn't know you'd leave. I'm so sorry. That long-lost embrace, after 7 years, it softened something that had been wound tight in me for far too long. I buried myself against his chest, quietly sobbing, terrified that the children would hear me cry. Benjamin whispered comfort into my ear, his stubble jaw brushing softly against my hair. All right, that's enough. Stop fighting me. Come home. His words yanked me back into reality. I gently pushed him away. Please, let me go. Just let me go, okay? His expression darkened instantly. No. Chapter 8. After that day, Benjamin began showing up more and more in our lives, mine and the kids. He couldn't just ditch his company work, so he started flying back and forth constantly, dropping in to see the kids every few days. He even shamelessly suggested moving in and received enthusiastic approval from 2 ungrateful little traitors. For the first time in my life, I understood the pain of being betrayed by my own flesh and blood. But in the end, he didn't manage to move in, because I was the head of this household now, and I had veto power. This home was a constitutional monarchy, and I was the monarch. Benjamin tried to buy the unit next to mine, or the one directly downstairs. Too bad the owners weren't hurting for cash, and couldn't be bothered with the hassle of moving. No one took his offer seriously. For the first time in his life, Benjamin experienced what it felt like for money to fail him. But a guy like him doesn't give up that easily. He eventually bought the apartment 2 floors down, for an absurd price, and started frequent visits to our home. After all, he was a seasoned business shark with over a decade of negotiation experience. It took him less than a week to win over the 2 little double agents and gain full access to my home. Mommy, can Uncle Lou stay in our room with me and Luis? He said he can sleep on the floor. Luciana's baby voice pleaded on his behalf. Luis was more direct. I need a dad. Excuse me? You think dads are like Lego sets in a store? Just walk in and pick one off the shelf? In the bakery, Alicia's face was squished flat on the table like a pancake. How could you hide this from me of all people? Her voice was full of betrayal, like a jilted wife discovering her groom was a eunuch from the royal guard on their wedding night. Yesterday, she showed up at my place with barbecue and crayfish, planning a cozy meal, only to find Benjamin lounging on the sofa in home clothes, watching cartoons with the kids. She screamed and ran out like the house was on fire. Now here she was, storming into the shop to interrogate me. Oh, come on. Is this something to brag about? I slid a glass of lemon water in front of her. Besides, your mouth is looser than an old pair of sweatpants. You can't keep a secret to save your life. She raised an eyebrow, didn't even deny it. So that was Benjamin? You saw him with your own eyes, didn't you? Yeah, but it was the first time I saw Benjamin Liu in pajamas. Excuse me for not recognizing him. I mean, I joked before that Luis looked just like the Lu Group CEO, but I didn't think it was actually true. And you really went and slept with one of Beijing's top-tier billionaires. She stirred the lemon slice in her drink with the straw. So, what now? I sighed. Whatever happens, I'm not giving up custody of the kids. Alicia grabbed my chin and turned my head toward the window. You're still thinking about that? Honey, that man looks like he wants you along with the kids. Across the street, on the sidewalk, Benjamin was strolling toward us in casual clothes, carrying 2 cartoon backpacks, one in each hand, the twins skipping along beside him. He had started openly picking them up from kindergarten for me. His words, kids without a father have an incomplete childhood. You want their classmates to say they don't have a dad? That kind of label will follow them for life, and you will regret it. I've already missed part of their childhood. From today on, I'll make sure they never feel fatherless again. Whatever's between us, they don't deserve to pay the price for it. He's a businessman. After all, an expert at turning negotiations into emotional blackmail. He makes it sound noble and selfless. And somehow, you end up feeling grateful while handing him everything he asked for. So when he laid out the case for picking the kids up, I had no rebuttal. I surrendered completely and let him have it. Since then, he's shown up at the school every chance he gets, practically skipping there with joy. He may wear a poker face, but inside, he's giddy as hell. Damn man, such a performer. Chapter 9. Friday came. As usual, Benjamin went to pick up the kids from school. I stayed in the bakery, loading freshly shaped bread dough into the oven. When the wall clock struck 5, Benjamin still hadn't come back with the kids. Sometimes he'd take them to the mall or a nearby play center after school, but he always called to let me know. Today, nothing. No call, no text, no kids. I pulled out my phone and dialed him. It rang for a long time before he finally picked up. Where the hell did you take them this time? Why aren't you back yet? Benjamin's voice sounded uneasy. Helen, don't panic, just listen. Cold dread surged through me like a wave of ice water. My limbs went numb. What happened? I asked, my voice shaking. He stammered, for the first time ever. Helen, just let me explain. Quit stalling. Benjamin, just fucking tell me, what happened to the kids? I lost them. It felt like the blood in my body froze solid. My ears buzzed. My knees almost gave out. I bit down on my lip, hard, trying to stay conscious. Where did you lose them? At the park, at the playground. I didn't wait for the rest. I hung up and bolted. Didn't even bother locking the shop. I sped through red lights like a maniac, flying through intersections. By the time I reached South Lake Park, Alicia was already there, standing at the gate with Benjamin. When I got out, he avoided my eyes. I called the local branch office to send help. I also called the police and the neighborhood patrol. They're all out searching. I forced myself to stay calm. Where haven't you looked yet? Alicia grabbed my arm. People's Park and the Underground Mall, we haven't checked those. You and I go to the mall. Lou, you go check People's Park. He nodded, glanced at me nervously. I only looked away for a second to take a call, and when I turned around, they were gone. I didn't mean to. Smack. I slapped him so hard his face snapped sideways. Benjamin, if anything happens to Luis or Luciana, I swear to God, I will fucking kill you. An hour later, I sat on the steps outside the Underground Mall, completely drained. I clung to Alicia's hand like a lifeline. What if we don't find them? What if? I buried my head in my knees, crushed under the weight of despair and terror. It wrapped around me like fog, ready to swallow me whole. Alicia hugged me, her voice a dazed whisper. Don't be scared. We'll find them. We will. I promise. My phone rang. I jolted upright, fumbling for it. A landline number I didn't recognize. Hello? A man's voice on the other end. Is this Helen? Yes, I am. This is the police station. Your kids were just found by their dad. Come down here right away. My heart jumped into my throat. What happened? Why are they at the police station? Well, your man got into a fight. He can't leave right now. You need to come pick them up. Chapter 10. At the police station, Luis and Luciana sat with their heads bowed like 2 quails when they saw me. I rushed over, panicked. checking them from head to toe. Are you hurt? Does anything hurt? They both shook their heads. The tension that had been stretching me taut for hours finally snapped. I pulled them into my arms and burst into tears. I thought you didn't want mommy anymore. I thought I'd never see you again. Luciana started crying too. I'm sorry. Mommy! It was my fault. I ran off. I won't do it again. Luis clung to my neck, holding back tears, his voice trembling. I'm sorry too. Mommy, I won't run off again. I promise. After the three of us cried our hearts out, Alicia finally walked over with a packet of wet wipes and cleaned all our faces one by one. Your man's still locked up next door. Go check on him. I'll watch the kids. When I walked into the interview room, I was greeted by the sight of Benjamin, with a black eye, tissues shoved up both nostrils. Honestly, seeing him like that made my rage evaporate instantly. He saw me and immediately played the victim. I'm in pain. I grabbed his chin and inspected his face, making sure the injuries were just superficial. Serves you right. I looked up at the officer in front of me. Didn't he hit someone? Why does he look like this? The chubby officer sighed and began to explain what had happened. After we split up, Benjamin searched all over People's Square and still couldn't find the kids. Just as he was about to head somewhere else, he saw, through a crowd of elderly people dancing, a man leading Luis and Luciana into a dark alley. The man had a suspicious grin. Luciana was crying, tear-streaked and trembling. In Benjamin's mind, the words child trafficker flashed in red lights. Blood rushed to his head. Without thinking, he bolted after them and landed a punch squarely on the old man's back. He'd expected to knock the guy down easily and rescue the children. What he didn't expect was that he'd just picked a fight with a titan. Turns out the old man had practiced martial arts in his youth. He was the leader of the square dancing crew, and also a master of Tai Chi and 9-section whip. It should have been a classic young beats old situation. Instead, this elder was more ripped than Benjamin. He wasn't just swinging his arms for exercise either. This man was armed and dangerous. The old man blocked the punch while shielding the kids, then swiftly counterattacked the suspicious kidnapper with ruthless precision. Somewhere in the chaos, he pulled a real whip out of his waistband. Not even kidding. One firm horse stance, a few well-placed punches, and a don't piss me off glint in his eyes later. Benjamin was flat on the ground, knocked out cold by a spinning kick. It wasn't until the twins shouted and rushed over that the misunderstanding was finally cleared up. Turns out, the reckless duo had seen a big screen playing cartoons at People's Square and, without saying a word, ran off hand in hand to watch. When the cartoon ended, they realized they'd lost their dad, and Luciana instantly burst into tears. A kind elderly man nearby noticed them crying with no guardian in sight, and decided to take them to the police station. The alley Benjamin thought was sketchy? That was actually where the police station was located. The only reason it looked so dark was because the streetlight at the entrance had burned out. From start to finish, it was one giant misunderstanding, a one-sided beatdown delivered by a very ripped grandpa. After that, Benjamin sincerely apologized to the old man and they both signed a settlement agreement. We both stared at the grandpa, built like a retired Schwarzenegger, hearts heavy and humbled. Benjamin really is hard to kill. If it had been someone with a weaker constitution, their name would have already been signed in the book of life and death down in the underworld by now. The old man patted Benjamin on the shoulder. You're not cut out for this. Young man, better work on that body. I bowed repeatedly, apologizing and offering to pay for his medical bills and any damages. The old man just chuckled. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. You should focus on taking care of your man. I've got insurance. Chapter 11. After leaving the police station, I led 2 little troublemakers and 1 wounded adult back home. We'd been through chaos all night. I chased the kids off to bed like herding pigs, then dug out the first aid kit to patch Benjamin up. He didn't dare look me in the eye the entire time. Even when the disinfectant stung like hell, he gritted his teeth and endured it, perfectly embodying silence as golden. I stared at him the whole time. He tried to avoid my gaze, but eventually gave in. After a long pause, he said softly, I'm sorry. I stood up and pulled him into my arms. I'm sorry too. I was just so scared tonight. His arms cautiously wrapped around my waist. I won't let something like that happen again. I ran my fingers through his hair. It's okay. I'm not mad at you, really. He looked up at me, his gaze serious. You're really not mad? Then. I want to sleep with you tonight. You've got some nerve. Before I could finish, his lips silenced me with a kiss that brimmed with heat and aggression. His warm breath brushed against my face, making my whole body go soft. His husky voice whispered like a curse. Helen. I missed you so much. Chapter 12. The next morning, Luis and Luciana knocked on my bedroom door, and that's when I realized I was stark naked under the covers. Next to me, Benjamin still had one arm wrapped tightly around my waist. God damn it. Fortress fell, even as the kids walked into kindergarten, turning back every few steps. My cheeks were still burning. Kids these days, are they always this observant? The moment they saw Benjamin stepping out of my room, they gave each other the most gossipy smirks. I swear, I'm raising two little drama kings and queens. That evening, Benjamin showed up again in his pajamas, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Luciana opened the door and dove into his arms. Daddy! He fist-bumped Luis, then let Luciana cling to him like a sloth. After what happened last night, he was now fully official, with household access privileges. The kids had apparently drawn their own conclusions from mommy sharing a room with that man, and without hesitation, embraced their biological father. The only person who hadn't adjusted was me. It all felt like a dream, a powerful Beijing tycoon choosing me. Despite everything, sure, we shared 2 kids, but rich families had no issue keeping the kids and ditching the mother. This wasn't a fairy tale romance. I was well aware of that. So I went back to kicking Benjamin out every night, forcing him to sleep in his own apartment. I thought Alicia would have my back. Turns out, even that thick-browed traitor defected. Benjamin had gained a lot of respect for Alicia after seeing how calm and capable she was during the missing child panic. With one wave of his hand, Alicia was fired from the cosmetic company where she worked. Before she could even complain about the cruelty of the elite, 2 men in black suits whisked her into a car. Next thing she knew, she was standing in front of the Lu Corporation's Northeast branch for its cosmetic division, with a cardboard box still in her arms. They took her to the general manager's office. She was the general manager, and just like that, she became Benjamin's most loyal advocate, nagging me every other day to get back with him. Helen, you've got to understand, I'm doing this for you. Bullshit. I jabbed right through her weak excuse like popping a soggy balloon. She just grinned sheepishly. What can I say? Your man makes it very worth it. Turns out, there's no such thing as pure friendship between women. That night, I was cooking dinner when Benjamin ghosted his way into the kitchen. He wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his head on my shoulder. His breath tickled my neck. So, what's for dinner? I swatted him off. Go grab some bowls. Time to eat. He spun around and snapped his fingers. Like magic, the 2 little traitors ran into the kitchen, one holding bowls, the other clutching chopsticks. He stuck his head out the doorway and called, "Son, take your sister to wash up. Dinner time." Then, out of nowhere, he slipped a hand right down the front of my shirt and gave a firm squeeze. Did these get bigger? Is this a second puberty? My heart nearly exploded. I wanted to slice off his hand with a kitchen knife. Get out. Chapter 13. That night, after reading Peter Pan to the kids, Benjamin tucked them in, said goodnight, turned off the lights, and closed their door. I sat on the sofa, watching the unconscious smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "What are you staring at?" he asked. I got up and headed for the bedroom. "Nothing. You should go home and get some rest." Suddenly, he pulled me into an embrace from behind and bit down on my earlobe. My body went weak instantly. By the time I realized what was happening, he was already carrying me bridal style into the bedroom. He tossed me onto the bed like a starved wolf descending on its prey. I tried to push him away with all my strength, but all I could feel was his breath growing heavier and closer. "Get off, are you crazy?" I shouted. Struggling beneath him, he growled against my neck like a hungry predator. "Helen, I miss you." Here we go again. A shiver ran down my spine. I twisted beneath him, trying to resist. "Benjamin, calm down." I reached for his hands and accidentally grabbed something hard on his wrist. We both froze. He looked down, and so did I, at the bracelet on his wrist, the one strung with onyx and Bodhi seeds. If I hadn't touched it, I might have forgotten it ever existed. "Didn't you say this thing looked childish? Like some toy a kid would wear?" "So what's this now?" Back then, When you were still with me. I was scared of breaking it, so I didn't wear it. But after you ran, it was the only thing I had that you'd made with your own hands. There was nothing else, so I started wearing it all the time. It felt like you were still by my side. And now? Maybe it really did bring me luck. Not only did it bring you back, it gave me 2 children too. He looked at me with eyes full of quiet devastation. So now, will you still have me? Tears slid from the corners of my eyes as I wrapped my arms tightly around his neck. His hands gently traced the curve of my back. Helen, will you marry me? I didn't speak. I just nodded. Hard. The next second, his fingers slipped behind my back and with a soft snap, unclasped my bra through the fabric of my nightgown. No backing out now. You said yes, so I'm staying tonight. Damn rogue. Chapter 14. The next morning, Benjamin moved me and the kids back into his home. First thing he did? Dragged me straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get our marriage certificate before I had a chance to change my mind. What surprised me was that not a single soul from the Liu family objected to the marriage. His parents had died young. He'd clawed his way to the top, taking over the Liu empire from a pack of circling relatives. Now, he was the Liu family. No one dared say a word. Louise got a game room and a bedroom with a starry sky ceiling. Luciana got her own walk-in closet and a princess suite. At the wedding, when Louise, dressed sharp in a little tuxedo, and Luciana, beaming in her poofy princess dress, took my hands and placed them in Benjamin's, Alicia sat in the audience bawling her eyes out. That night, after putting the kids to bed like seasoned pros, Benjamin and I walked out of their room in perfect sync. He scooped me up and carried me back to the master bedroom. A deep, passionate kiss stole my breath away. He held me tight like he'd never let go again. Helen, after all these years, how are you going to make it up to me? I gave him a soft peck on the lips. What kind of compensation are you looking for? His grin turned wicked. He opened the nearby wardrobe and pulled out a slinky, low-cut, backless silk nightgown, the exact same model as the one I'd thrown away years ago. Babe, time to make good on your promise.